So hello and welcome to another episode of the C-Suite Lunch Series brought to you by Corporate Traveller. I'm delighted to be here today for lunch at the Glass Brasserie at the Hilton in Sydney, and even more delighted to be here with Judith Crompton, the CEO of CoverMore Insurance, for lunch. So hello Judith, I'm fantastic that you could be here with me. Very much looking forward to our conversation and the delicious lunch that we're going to be having.
Thank you, Kate. Good afternoon, and I'm super looking forward to it as well. Highlight of my day being here with you today.
Great.
My name is Peter Cassidy from Glass Brasserie. I'm the head chef. And for entree today, I've got confit pork belly with yuzu apple and dashi broth. For main today, I've got pan-fried potato gnocchi with asparagus, peas, corn, and crispy basil.
My name's Natalie Murphy. I'm the glass pastry chef. Dessert today, we have the vanilla cheesecake with pistachio sponge and fresh fruit. Starting off, we're going to have watermelon, strawberries, raspberries, and rose, and then we're going to spoon a watermelon consomme around the outside.
So I mentioned there your role as the CEO of CoverMore Asia Pacific. Tell me a little bit about CoverMore.
CoverMore is an Australian company with a global heart. We operate in 5 continents around the world, in 22 different countries, and we have 2,500 staff. And one of the things that I believe we do is save lives every day. We help mend people's broken trips and put them back together again and help people live out their dreams.
So an Australian company, is that how you got involved in it? How did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, it is. So I joined CoverMore 2.5 years ago, and my background up until then had been mostly working in the travel management industry and aviation. In fact, for the last 15 years, I'd worked for some of the global airlines. But I joined CoverMore 2.5 years ago when I was approached and offered an opportunity to sort of jump out of being boxed in to just the travel industry and to jump into financial services, but still on the edge of the travel industry by working with travel insurance.
So I understand that, and I see that essentially travel but move to financial services, but still travel. In your career looking at travel, what's changed the most, and what should we be most excited about what's coming up for travel?
Well, I think what's changed the most is the rapid pace in which people are moving and working, and how borders and cross-country selling is just breaking down. People now think nothing of jumping on a plane to go to a business meeting the other side of the world, not even sleep in a hotel bed, but turn around and come back again straight away.
So you're the CEO of Asia Pacific in CoverMore Insurance, really big job. What are the challenges for CoverMore Insurance in that area?
I think the challenges are mostly around some of our global ambitions as a business, and we have an ambition to actually be the largest provider of travel insurance globally. Now that's a very big, bold, ambitious statement, but it's not actually easy to achieve. We as a business have the largest share of the marketplace here in Australia, but we don't have that largest share in other markets in which we either operate or that we're hoping to operate. So the biggest challenge for us is to understand where are the growth areas and how can we actually take our business model and take it into those other markets.
For you, what are the markets in particular that you're focused on, and which one offers the most opportunity and the most challenge?
The 2 big markets that we're focusing on at the moment are China and India, and I think that would be probably the same for a lot of companies. That's not unique to us that we're focusing on those areas. There's huge growth opportunities that come out of those areas, and I'll quote some statistics. Typically, when an Australian travels overseas, 80% of Australians will cover themselves and take out a travel insurance policy. Right now, what we're seeing today in India and in China is only 30% of the locals will take out a travel insurance policy when they travel.
So you're an Australian company that's going into the Chinese market. How have you done that? It's traditionally considered a very hard market to penetrate. And I know that a lot of people watching this will be Australian companies thinking, how can I go overseas? What's worked and what hasn't worked in the Chinese market?
Well, the first way that we actually entered the Chinese market was by acquiring a company. It is very, very hard with regulatory issues to start up a business within China, so you need to go in with a partner. So we actually acquired a business that actually then gave us a bricks and mortar operation, and they were a very well-established medical assistance business. So they were not selling travel insurance or offering premiums, but they were actually supporting travellers who needed medical assistance and Medivac. So that was the way that we actually entered the market. From that, we've now started to grow our operation by partnering with companies such as the Flight Centre Travel Group, who we have a strong relationship with, and we've been able to partner with them to look to see how that we can service their customers and look after their customers when they are selling to those passengers and those clients. So from that, we will have organic growth through starting with an acquisition. So, for example, on the branding, we acquired a company in India back in 2012. And it was a very well-established Indian company, a family company, trading under the brand of Travel Tag. And we knew that if we changed that brand, we would probably lose half of our customer base overnight, because it was a very, very important brand that resonated not only with staff but with our customers as well. So we left that brand in place. What we've now actually done is we've dual branded or co-branded, and we now trade as Travel Tag CoverMore. And we've still got the benefit of the Travel Tag brands, but we've now introduced the CoverMore brand as well, that is becoming more of a globally well-known brand. Beautiful. Cheers, Kate. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Well, bon appetit.
Bon appetit.
So this looks absolutely delicious. I know that part of your strategy, apart from acquisition, has also been to partner with organisations. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Like, how do you find the right partner? How do you make that relationship work?
I think, to me, the true test of a good partner is actually how you work together when things are not going well. It's very easy to have a good partnership all the time. Things are going well and we're getting the good results and everybody's happy. But the minute something goes wrong and the chips are down, that really is the true test of a good partner. And to me, it's about, when those situations do occur, being able to sit around the table and have a good, healthy adult conversation about what's gone wrong, why it went wrong, and obviously, how you're going to fix things moving forward. But just being able to work through those sorts of situations together.
A lot of Australian companies are looking to go overseas, and you're talking about partnering, which is really important as a strategy. So what advice would you be giving to those kind of companies about how to find a good partner?
I think one of the first things to do would be to look at who your local onshore partners are, and actually see if there's opportunity to work with those partners, subsidiaries or wholly owned companies overseas, and actually then build on that.
Values are important throughout all of this. It's the thing that comes up and up again around partnerships and acquisitions. How do you assess whether a partner or potential acquisition has the right values for you?
If it's an acquisition, there's a very big part around really getting to understand the culture of the company that we are looking to acquire. Do they have the same set of values that we have? Do they lead their teams in the same way that we lead our teams? Do they have similar practices and policies? And how do they care for their customers? So it's about looking for those sorts of synergies to then make sure that we're going to like working with those people and enjoy working with them, and that they can uphold the same values that we have here in Australia.
You're going into all these different markets, India and China and other markets. What are you learning from those markets that you're bringing back into your operations here?
I think one of the things that we're learning is actually off one of our very good partners, Flight Centre Travel Group, because we see how they take their business model around the world, where they use the same branding, the same look, the same feel, they have the same values wherever they operate. But what they do very, very well is then tweak around the edges for local nuances and for local culture. And I think a lot of people can actually learn from that model that Flight Centre have built.
What have the difficulties been going into those two markets?
The difficulties are quite often the ones that would be obvious: cultural difficulties and differences from the culture to Australia. Language. Language can often be a real barrier. time zones when we're trying to deal with those markets from Australia. We always seem to get the lousy 2 a.m. conference call. It always seems to happen that way for us poor Australians. But also regulatory, regulation. One of the things that I've become very deeply involved with since leading our team in China and India is understanding our risk profile. And a very big part of what I do every month is meet with our risk and audit team so that I can absolutely understand what is going on in those markets. And I roll up my sleeves and I get involved and I understand the issues.
This looks beautiful.
Looks stunning.
I love gnocchi.
Me too.
It's one of my favourite.
I love anything that's carbohydrates.
Do you?
Yep, I do. Meat, yep, meat and carbs.
Are you going to push all the vegetables?
I am. I'm going to actually, very subtly flick them off.
How can you not like vegetables?
I think it's a bit of the English up.
Is it?
You know,
it's how they're cooked.
Yeah, they're cooked.
Yeah.
How they were cooked.
In terms of innovation, what would you be advising to organisations looking to go overseas? How do you keep up to date with everything that's happening globally when you want to be a global player?
I think it's about having good people in local markets overseas. So if you already have an operation overseas and you're looking to expand that operation, but making sure you've got the right people in place, the right teams who mix with chambers of commerces, mix with other captains of industry, and actually a well-networked people who understand what's going on in their local markets. So for me, it's about having the right people in the right place, in the right markets.
Do you personally spend a lot of time travelling?
I do, Kate. I spend far too much time travelling, but it's important. I travel for two reasons. One, to actually visit the customer and to sit with the customer. That's very, very important to really understand customer needs. But also to work with our team members and our staff. I think it's important for the local overseas offices to see leadership from head office and to see that leadership does care about how they're performing and to be able to share the company story, to tell the story, to share the vision, to motivate them in that way, and to just also do a little bit of a sanity check to make sure that they're performing to the standards and keeping up the standards that we require as a company. So to me, it's actually very important to make regular trips to go and see our local branch offices.
So how do you cope with that amount of travel? How do you keep your sanity effectively?
It's not always easy, but what does help is by having a good travel agent or travel manager looking after me. I'm very lucky and very blessed that I have Corporate Traveller actually implanted into my office, but not everybody is that fortunate to have that sort of situation. But really keeping my sanity is around making sure that I turn up early to the airports and check in early and I don't leave things until the last minute. Making sure that I know what my agenda looks like before I leave and I'm not doing it on the run, so I'm well prepared.
So the travel industry is one of those industries where I think you've seen a huge level of transparency around the service delivery. And you see that through websites that rate all sorts of things around travel. What's the impact of that being on the travel industry?
I think a lot of travel providers now live or die by some of those ratings that we actually see on these sorts of sites. And some might be fair, some might be very unfair. But what it has done is made the industry more transparent and more visible. And I think there's a lot of providers in all aspects of travel who've actually lifted their game. So this isn't a bad thing. It's just like competition, it's not a bad thing. And some of these sites have actually meant that people, because of the transparency, have had to now improve service levels and customer service.
You are the biggest player in the Australian market. How do you ensure that you stay ahead of the competition?
We like competition. Competition is good because it does make people perform at their peak level, and that's good for the industry and it's good for our customers. But one of the things that we have to do is make sure that we keep innovating and we bring out new products that will help keep us ahead.
You're an Australian success story with regards to your expansion overseas. What would your advice be to other Australian organisations watching this about how they could go overseas?
I think make sure that you have a good partner if you are partnering with another business, a partner who you like to work with, who you trust, and who has the same values as you. And make sure that your team of people who are in place really do live your company values every single day. You put a lot of trust in your teams overseas. You're not there to oversee what's happening 24/7, so you have to actually trust the people who you've put in place to run that business for you.
So thank you, Judith. It's been delightful to be down here with you at the Glass Brasserie, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, Kate, it was absolutely outstanding, a highlight of my day, and in fact it set me up for the week ahead. I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. You've taken me out of my comfort zone, but I thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us as well at this episode of the C-Suite Lunch Series brought to you by Corporate Traveller. I look forward to seeing you at the next episode.